Bubbles. Now I know I said I was gonna go live from the computer, but I'm going live from the bed again because I done worked all day and all night, and I know this video requires me to be on StreamYards, but I just can't do it. I'm tired, but I'm not gonna go to bed until I say what I have to say. So the title is, Do I Really Have to Coach? And I put coach in quotes because that is the word that Sinful used in the Shanquilla Robinson video of his. And if you watch the video I did, what's the title of that? Did Sinful the P die broke pimp or something like that? I played that clip. I'll leave that right there. Put a thumbtack in that. So the video I did earlier today, the first one this morning, I had watched only the first 20 minutes of Freeze's video. And I was able to listen to the rest of the video. And pretty much Freeze has returned back to Arizona. He let us know at times directly and at first indirectly that there's some financial issues. He said that the sister that Sinful has many accounts, and the sister got into one account, and the amount of money that's in that account ain't enough to take care of the funeral expenses. And I'm like, well, if she got into one account, she can get into all of them. So the question is are the other accounts in Canada? Well, how can that be? He was in the country illegally. How can he open up bank accounts? But it's another country, and I am oblivious to their laws and regulations. I don't know how they do things over there. Perhaps you can be illegal and just open up bank accounts all willy-nilly. So, Sinful's funeral was supposed to be Saturday on the 28th. It did not take place. According to Freeze, it ain't going to take place next weekend. It ain't going to take place the weekend after that because it's Super Bowl weekend. So, Sinful will be sitting in the funeral home. A text just came through. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, he'll be sitting in the funeral home. And the reason why I titled this video, because I listened again to what Sinful said in that Shanquilla Robinson video. He gave an example, suppose he died. He knows his brother is going to make sacrifices and represent him properly. Freeze is back in Arizona, knowing that Sinful won't be buried because there's no finances to do so. Sinful went on in the video to say, if the shoe was on the foot, nobody's not going to have to coach him. Nobody's going to have to encourage him. Nobody's going to have to advise him on anything because he's going to do what needs to be done, which is his reasonable service. Now, Freeze, you are Sinful's bro. At least that's how he looked at you. I understand you're frustrated, you're angry, because you know what you would like to do, what Sinful would like to have done as far as having a funeral in two different locations and so on and so forth. And like I explained in my last video, that's not always possible. And in this case, having a funeral in two locations, the funeral, now you can have a memorial, but as far as the funeral in two locations, doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But this is your bro. And you can go back to Arizona and leave your bro sitting in the funeral home and not buried properly. I'm trying to speak all this in love. I really am. But at this point in time, I have to say, you're really not thinking rationally. If there are no finances and you have the means, just call up the funeral home and pay the bill and let the family do what they're going to do. What you and Sinful may have wanted is not a reality. It's not the worst thing in the world. But you don't leave your bro hanging like that. Sinful said if the shoe was on the other foot, he would do all that he can to make sure things are right. And that sounds to me that if you were in the same situation in limbo because there aren't any finances, he wouldn't leave you hanging. He would just go ahead and pay the bill. And even though the family won't do as you would have wished, as far as having a funeral in two locations, all of that is irrelevant at this point. You need to do what you need to do for your bro. And you shouldn't need any coaching to do so. Because Sinful wouldn't need any coaching. After the tears stop falling, watch. That's what my mama always said. Sinful ain't even buried, and the tears have stopped falling. And you went live with a second video that you put on private, and we watched. We watched how you sort of cussed them out, his siblings. And look, there are 5 stages of grief. The first stage is shock and disbelief. The second stage is anger. Whatever anger and for whatever reasons all of you are feeling, it is perfectly normal. This is what happens. Now you talk about how you are a leader, and being a leader means you got to have a level head. But you're allowing your anger to get you beside yourself. And in the midst of that, Sinful is just lingering. Sinful said in that video he knows that you are his bro, that you're going to see that things are done properly. In your mind, properly is the dual funerals and all of that. But in reality, at this particular point in time, properly is having him buried. That right now takes precedence over anything else. Now, if Sinful was your bro, like you said he was, and like he said you are, there's no way in hell you will leave him sitting in that funeral home and not pay the bill if you got the means to do so. And if you don't have the means to do so, personally, you know how you can make it happen. Don't you leave your bro hanging like that. Don't do it. It's not right. Yeah, siblings might be fucked up according to you or from your perspective. I don't know. But it ain't about them. It's about Sinful. Well, Bad and Whip ass, you said fuck them. Fuck them. I still feel that way. For me, it's about the loved ones who are left behind and what they're doing. So, yeah, you might begrudgingly um, pay the bill, not because of, sinful anything that he's done, but because of the situation with his siblings. But again, it ain't about them. It's about Sinful. And you are the one, apparently the only one, whom Sinful believed that if he was all fucked up in the game, he knew without a doubt that you would do and represent him properly. And by you going back to Arizona and leaving the funeral director unpaid, therefore Sinful cannot be buried, you are not representing him properly at all. Now, I would say, you need to keep the beef in between you and his siblings, off the internet. I would say that. But the mess between you all is quite interesting to me. It never gets old. I've seen this shit a million times. But at this point in my life, I'm able to use this as a teachable moment. Again, when Sinful made that video and used that example, I'm sure in his mind it was planned as you see it. The dual funerals. But as you can see now, that's not a reality. It's not a reality, and Sinful is left in limbo. So you just gonna let his siblings, struggle and work it out, and Sinful get buried whenever he get fucking buried? Is that what Sinful expected from you? I think not. And I didn't know Sinful. I don't know you either. I just know the words that came out of his mouth and his heart concerning you, the trust he had in you, the loyalty he believed the both of you shared. And right now, you ain't being loyal. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are not being loyal. And I know you don't mean to be disloyal. I understand what's going on. You're angry. It's only natural. But sometimes you need to hear a voice to coach you to get back on track. Don't leave your bro hanging like that. Pay the bill. Let his siblings have whatever funeral they deem befitting for him, and you go ahead and have your memorial. Another thing that disturbed me in your video was when you said, if you see anything online about a funeral and you don't hear it from myself or Andre, it's bogus. It's unofficial, is what you said, really. How dare you? How dare you try to shut down a funeral that siblings, his surviving family members want to have? How dare you deem that as unofficial? You have no right to do that, bro. Don't do that. There was a way for you to handle this situation. You are not next of kin. In reality, you are no kin at all. You have no place to be seeking a death certificate. None of that. If Sinful didn't have a will and stipulate all of that, that is not your place, sir. You ain't staying in your lane. There's a way to stay in your lane and get shit done. That is like really disrespect to his siblings. And yeah, they might be all the things you think that they are. But the reality is that they are kin. And I think the sister is the next of kin. And truth be told, Sinful, if he got kids, his sister really ain't the next of kin. It's his oldest child, whoever that is. But apparently, I guess their mothers, and perhaps, I don't know how old his children are, perhaps, obviously, they don't give a damn, don't want nothing to do with it. And if he had a whole lot of money, as you say, he didn't die in dire straits. If Sinful got so many accounts and a whole lot of money, please believe me, the baby mama and the oldest child would have stepped in and took over. Trust me on that. It's always about money. So that's another red flag for me. If the sister's the next of kin and this man got children. But you are not of any relation. Don't be trying to shut down the funeral his family's trying to have for him just because it's not up to par as far as how you see it. Be respectful and let them do their thing or whatever, and you go ahead and you do what you need to do as far as a memorial for your bro. It still can be fabulous how he envisioned it. His body just won't be present. That's not the worst thing in the world. He'll be there in spirit. It's just the body. He'll be there in spirit. Now, I didn't see any comments. I looked for them, believe me, from his siblings. I'm curious as to what they said. According to you, they said you lied. I wish somebody could email me if they made screenshots. Email me at madamwhipass7, madamwhipass, and the number 7, madamwhipass7 at gmail.com. I would really like to read and analyze what they're saying. But the bottom line is, he considered you to be a loyal bro. Not just a bro, but a loyal bro. Because he felt he was a loyal, and he would be a loyal bro to you if the shoe was on the other foot. According to him, if you was in the same situation, he wouldn't leave you sitting in a funeral home and not laid to rest properly. So just go on and call the funeral home, wire him some money, pay the bill. Perhaps you'll be reimbursed. If you do, that's fine. But if not, you handled your business and you did all that you could do for your bro. Right now, you ain't doing all that you can do. You are not. Look, I got quite a few best friends. One I knew since kindergarten. Another one I knew since I was 11 years old. If God forbid one of them had passed away and they in the same situation as this, I'd just go and pay the bill. Would never leave my girl just hanging out in the funeral home, dead. I'd make sure she's laid to rest properly with a nice headstone. That's what bros and sisters do. That's what best friends do. You leaving him hanging. And I'm really surprised. He talked about in that clip, he said, it's unfortunate when somebody dies. He said it's sad, but you see who people really are. I shudder to think, was he unknowingly talking about you? Uh-uh. Nah, he believed you was his bro. And his bro wouldn't leave him in a funeral home without a casket or anything. Now, that could be a financial burden on you. If it is not, it's even more disgusting. But if it's going to be a financial burden, understandably. But you know how to make it happen. All his fans, all these people who loved him, they ain't going to let him go out like that. You can make it happen. So make it happen. And it's a damn shame I got to coach you. And Sinful said he would never need any coaching if the shoe was on the other foot. You talk about being a leader. Paying the bill in this situation and seeing that your bro is laid to rest properly, that would represent true leadership. And like I said, how you're handling it now, it's in your heart because of anger and emotions and all of that. I understand that. I'm not blaming you for that at all. But if you know you can do what needs to be done, because right now Sinful is not being represented properly, as he said in that Shanquilla Robinson video. He is not. Sitting up in the funeral home all these days when he should have had his funeral and been resting in peace. I wouldn't call this being represented properly as he thought. So again, when he talked about how it's sad and sometimes it takes a death for you to see who people really are, was he unknowingly talking about you, Freeze? I don't know. I'm just asking a question. I hope not. So stand up and be the leader that you are and prove your bro right. Anyway, I'm going to the chat to just say hello. B Money, how you doing? Mr. Mind Over Matter, how are you? There has to be a misunderstanding between family and personal preference protocol. You know, and one more thing. You wanting or Sinful wanting to have, services honoring him as Philip Gilmore and also Sinful the Pimp. I understand, and out of Sinful's mouth, his mother was a saved and sanctified woman. She couldn't possibly have agreed with his lifestyle. And perhaps his siblings don't want that kind of service for him in honor of their late mother because she would not respect that. Perhaps that has a lot to do with it. Either way, you got to respect the wishes of the family. Maybe they don't want his body present in those type of services that you want to have, that he wanted to have, out of honor for their mother, their saved and sanctified mother. I'm sure that's some of what has to do with it, if not all of it. But you don't leave your bro hanging in a funeral home, being a burden to the funeral director and his business. I know I wouldn't do it. I would take care of my sis. I would just surreptitiously have the bill paid. That's that. And go on and coordinate and organize my memorial service where you can have your little pimp convention memorial or whatever it is going to be. Do your thing. But take care of your bro. So, with all of that being said, it's time for me to go night-night. All right? One love. Take care of your bro how he knew you would take care of him. He foreseen, he knew his siblings, he knew the potential of how things could go. He probably was accurate. And since we are here, he trusted, he knew in his heart that if anybody was going to represent him properly, which does not mean necessarily, it may include, but it's not necessarily about the dual funerals and all that you want going on. Representing him properly is to see him laid to rest in a proper time frame. Is that what you are doing? It's just a question. Maybe a question you need to ask yourself. Are you truly representing your brother properly like he believed you would? You ask yourself that question, I'm sure the answer would be a resounding no. It's all right. These situations are never easy. And sometimes we always can't see things that we need to see. And sometimes it's good to have somebody to come and, point things out and have you formulate a different perspective, a proper perspective of the situation. Doesn't make you a bad person, just makes you someone who's grieving for your brother. You're just a little blind right now, temporarily. So Sinful is going to need you to get yourself together and see the light and do what's right. Peace.